Jake loves Kira. Bareil loves Dax. Dax loves Sisko. Quark loves Keiko. Kira and Bashir love each other. And Luoxana wants Odo to melt in her lap. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
Today we are, by the way, my name is Ryan T. Husk. We are doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 3, Episode 10, Fascination, directed by
Avery Brooks.
Avery Brooks. And I kept thinking about that while I was watching. He must have had a blast doing it. Written by Philip Lezebnik. Did you ever meet Philip Lezebnik? I don't remember his name popping up.
No, this is the first I've even heard his name, actually. So I don't know what his history with our show is, but first I heard his name.
All right, and very quickly, this is sponsored by Virtual Trek Con. Check this out. It'll be coming out in just a couple weeks. A big, huge 6-day virtual event that is free to everybody, full of Star Trek, and full of more Star Trek. Also, want to give a quick shout out to Abyssinian Kiosk. Check this out. It's Cirroc Lofton's sister.
Nice.
Makes these awesome designs. Check it out at abyssiniankiosk.com. We'll include that in the description box below so you can check it out. Two more very quick shout outs. Bill Erickson in Montana sending us some awesome chocolate coins.
Thank you, Bill. Really
appreciate it. Really cool. He also had to send them out twice because for some reason the first time was sent back. So really appreciate it, Bill.
Yeah,
love that, dude. And lastly, a very big shout out to Melissa Longo. You guys see her here and there every once in a while, but what you don't see is sometimes when we are running into a scheduling issue or when we need something, we call Melissa. And whether she ends up in front of the screen or not, she's always the person that we call first, and she always says yes to everything, and she is always there for us in case we need her. So we want to give a big thank you and shout out to her for always being there for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa.
All right. Now, let's talk about this fun episode. And how are you, by the way, Cirroc?
Doing good. I'm all right.
Nice.
This was a enjoyable episode. It was kind of fun to... It's a little excursion from all the heavy stuff that we've been lifting in this season, you know.
Totally different mood.
Yeah, it's just like a little vacation away from, and it's very playful. So it was great because I like the fact that they used every character, and that we really got to see how DS9 is a family on that station, right? Everybody was kind of intermingled with each other, and I thought that was a really good thing.
You know, I don't know. Usually when I would watch episodes like this, I would say, this is not a good episode, or this isn't one of my favorites, or whatever. You know, like on the first watch for me, a lot of times I'm like, and I barely remember this. There's so many episodes in the first 3 seasons that I just don't remember because I watched them once and kind of poo-pooed them away. But now that I've seen them all, and I love the characters, and I've really enjoyed the lore and the mythology of the whole story and the whole series, going back with fresh eyes and seeing these episodes that I don't remember at all or barely remember, I actually like them a lot more because it just adds more depth. It gives a little bit more fun, especially because the next 2 episodes are going to be past tense, which is a little, more serious. But I enjoyed the fun aspect of it. I really enjoyed picturing Avery saying, okay, we need firewalkers here and we need acrobats over there. And Cirroc, I want you to be running, zipping over and I want to grab you. I mean, I just really, and I was wondering if you have any memories of him as a director, whether it's on this episode or in other episodes, of just when he was doing something fun, less than a serious episode, but one of the ones where he was just out having fun. Would his eyes just get really big and, or did he take that also very seriously?
That's the thing so my recollection is that the episodes that Avery directed were fun. And So now going back, every time that I can think of, for example, last time we saw was where I got my first girlfriend, right? And I was
Yeah.
explaining to him that I want to date a Dabo girl. That was an episode that he directed.
Right.
And I remember the fun behind it. And now I'm watching this episode, party scene at his quarters and a lot of action and movement. Another episode that he directed, another episode that has the moniker of fun attached to it, in my opinion. And then the thing that stands out the most, obviously, was Far Beyond the Stars, which he directed, which also had an energy level and excitement, even though we were dealing with really serious content. It still had a fun atmosphere with the people dressed up in costume and all the old cars on the back lot. We had all the departments on hand, on deck at the on set to just kind of see how their creations manifested into this, production. So one thing that I know about Avery is that he is a very good director for actors.
Right.
He knows how to get what he wants out of the actor. He knows what the actor, what the scene's about and what he's looking for, and what to say to actors in order to elicit the response that he's looking for. So that to me is one of the things that makes a great director, able to communicate well and get the performances that he wants out of you.
As an actor, I always found that the directors I enjoyed working with the most were the ones that knew how to communicate with actors. And not just because, actors are known to possibly be a little fragile sometimes, where you don't want to hurt their ego. I do think actors get a bad rap for that. I don't think most actors are like that at all. I think that actors are just very sensitive about the final product. They're not so concerned with having their feelings hurt about a bad, performance. They care about what the final product is going to look like on the screen, And
Right.
So if a director is telling you, to do something differently, if an actor doesn't take it well, it's because they're just thinking this will look best on the screen. And that's why when a director communicates well with them, they get it. And they go, oh, that's going to look better. That's going to reflect better on me. That's going to look better on you. It's going to have a better product. The fans are going to be happy. And that's why, and we also love a director that knows how to talk to us because they're helping us to be better. And so when you say, a director that knows how to talk with actors, it's invaluable. We want to work with those directors over and over again, right?
Absolutely. And there's other things that are so minute that you have such a big impact. And, we talk about sensitivity of actors, but sometimes it's actually called for. And let me give you an example. You get a guest director in that doesn't know the cast, doesn't know anybody on the show, so doesn't know the characters and the history leading up into the moment. So if they come on the set and don't know how to talk to different people according to the language that they understand, we all have like a little bit of subtle nuances of ways in which we are offended or communicate. So I, for example, can recall a director coming on the set and asking me to do something, but referring to me as you. Can hey you, So those are the kinds of things you're like, you're calling me you. I have a name. You refer to me as my character name or my real name, but something other than just
or just put your hand on their shoulder and say, hey, what's your name again? Sorry. Okay, Cirroc. Yeah. Can you do, treat me like a human, right?
Exactly. And so those kinds of things could really set an actor off in a bad space, therefore altering the performance. And that's where Avery has a delicacy in the way he approaches people, because he knows how to tailor make it for the person that he's talking to, right?
Right.
And I just think there's so many examples of how it worked. His directing skills were infused into this episode, and I kind of wrote a few of them down, but off the top of my head, one of the things I remember was Kira kind of in the area, and Bareil walks in and he's looking for Dax, and they're by that flame, and she wants to kiss, and he says, no, there's people around, they might see us, right?
And there were people in the background, by the way. I went and rewound that. I was like, she's like, there's nobody here. Well, except for those two back there.
Except for the two people that just walked away. So so that was funny to me. But the thing that I noticed about the camera work was, so we originally see her standing there by the fire, and then he joins her into a 2-shot. They walk forward to avoid the two people, or to be in a more private setting. And as they walk forward, they move off into the corner to, I think Kira kind of throws him into the corner to like push him up on the corner and make out with him, right? And that pushing up on the corner took us from a wide shot in the hallway into a narrow close-up shot in which you feel the intensity of two people in a enclosed space. And it's very subtle, but it makes you feel the intensity of the awkwardness of somebody pressing up on you.
He did that another time, Avery did, for a different reason, which was when you were walking around and he says, hey, slow down. You could tell that he wanted the shot of the two of you like this. And he's thinking, how do I get him here, this like to the two of you like this? And so he says, hey, slow down. And he grabs your arm and he spins you around. And like, that works. A dad could do that. Dad would pull you around, get in close, be like, what are you doing? And so that was an interesting thing, similar.
Absolutely.
And
second note I had a note of exactly what you just pointed out. I wrote down in my notes as his directing style, as the way he wanted to manipulate that shot and get me from inside Quarks to around that little area where he was. But yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's exactly what directors do. It's like they know that they want you at point B, but they're like, how do I get there? Like, what's that? Like when actors say, what's my motivation? They mean, what's my motivation to lead me to this point of emotion or of what I'm saying? And directors are saying, what's the motivation to create this kind of shot? How do I, whether it's walking over and pouring a glass of water, or whether it's, grabbing somebody. I did want to touch really quickly upon the respect for actors, and that's great that Avery showed it. I did have a director one time where I was just like, okay, I'm never working for this dude again. And it was, I won't say his name, obviously. It was a him or a her. It was a him. And it was a sci-fi movie, and I'm doing these things, and it's kind of in the middle of the movie, and I get shot, and I go onto the ground. There's like a battle on the bridge, and he's changing he's going to shoot the next scene from a different angle, right? And I'm still on the floor, and not only does he not, I guess to change the angle, he wanted to kind of move a couple of the things a bit. And not only does he not say my name, he doesn't say anything to get me to move. Do you know what he does? He kicks me. He like pushed my body with his foot. I'm lying on the floor, shot, after doing a stunt. And with his foot, he just kind of goes and push. And I swear, I like looked at him like, it was, more, it was more like shock. Like, did you just,
yeah.
Are you pushing me with your foot like I'm a sandbag? And I was like, okay, this guy this guy does not know how to treat. I was just like, I was more amused than insulted. I was just like, this guy. I was just taking him. Anyway, so
yeah, but that's another example of how a director can really muck things up, right? and just take something where I would have been happy to do anything you asked me to do, as far as if you could have communicated it to me in a proper way, and we would have had a good understanding, and I would have rolled over in the way you wanted me to, or moved over. But the simple fact that you're not communicating, that's where the problem is. And sometimes, especially on a series, when you have a director coming in mid-series, the actors feel like they know that role better than the guy who just came in for one episode, right? So when the director's like, I think you should do it like this and this and this and this, sometimes you're looking at him like, no.
But then it's also that tough juggling act from an actor's point of view where you also need to have tact. You don't want to insult the poor person on their first day of work. They're asked to do something difficult, which is tell all these people what to do that have been doing this for 4 years. And so you have to have that kind of mentality when you're talking to them, say, that's really cool. And I get it. And I understand. I just want to let you know that this character has done this, this, and this, and this. So I'm not sure, let them know,
And there's all types of middle ground to reach when you do that. So if I'm in this position where I disagree with the director's interpretation of the scene or interpretation of the way I should do the scene, then there is a middle ground. There are several ways to get to it, but one of them is to say, okay, well, let's try one way your way, and let's get one way my way.
That's what directors say just to get an actor to shut up. They're like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it your way once. And then they do that. And then they just like, they're probably not even recording. They're like, yeah. We'll do it that way next.
Yeah, exactly. Print that, but put an asterisk by it.
Yeah. Strike through.
So there's different ways, but definitely, I mean, just in general, you don't want the days to be long. We all have this work to do, and we're piled on with pages of work to do. And some of these things can be very tedious, especially when we have a large group of people to choreograph, 10, 12, 15 actors in a room. Everybody has to have some kind of motion, and the camera and the timing all have to be right. And the last thing any one of us want to do is be there more than we have to be there, right? Everybody wants to go home.
Right.
So we're all there to get the same thing accomplished. So you're right as far as when actors, need to give a little bit of leniency and obviously not be holding up production. So there is ground there. There's places where you can meet in the middle. But with Avery in particular, he is so understanding of these variables, and he's so conscious of them that he is able to just really get right to the meat of it. Take to have a little few words, conversation wise, and then he electrifies you. Like he makes you feel excited. Like and makes you feel like gets you involved and gets you hyped up to want to go out and do it a different way or better.
Right. Excitement's contagious.
Yeah. It's that it's that motivation. It's that coach pep talk that gets you amped up before the game. So I remember that about Avery's episodes are traditionally a lot more fun to be on the set.
Right. I kept picturing him with wide eyes, just kind of saying, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. One real quick, I did want to also mention that Nam, our Nam of the day was Marta. I don't know if she'll ever get another Nam, but she does get a non-appearance mention. I think that's probably going to be her only non-appearance mention forever. Actually, she did get one in the previous episode when O'Brien was like 16 and dating a Davo girl. Godspeed, young man. So that's 2 Nams for her, and maybe her only 2. I also thought it was funny that Chief O'Brien had 5 cups of coffee in 20 minutes. Did you hear that line? But she was that's your 5th cup of coffee in 20 minutes. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I heard that line. This gratitude festival that they're all getting ready for, it sounded a lot like Thanksgiving to me, like the Bajoran Thanksgiving.
Sure.
And, so actually I thought that was a little funny twist that they put on it.
I also want to, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also wanted to mention before we get too deep into the gratitude festival, that the thing that kind of led into it was Jake Sisko's dad, Benjamin Sisko. His line, he says, "Jake, you're 16. Take my word for it. You'll be fine. Maybe you'll meet someone at the festival tonight." And I was like, I feel like that's the rudest his dad has ever been. He's like, it's like what parents always say, "Oh, I'm in love." And they're like, "You'll be fine. Who cares that you're the girlfriend that you loved is gone forever? We go meet someone else."
Get over it.
Whatever.
You're 16.
Whatever.
But I mean, mean, it was a little insensitive, but obviously, Sisko was against that from day one. So he's deep down inside, he's clapping and doing jumping jacks.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny because he says to his dad, "Give the earring to Kira for her birthday." It's like, yeah, get rid of this thing, get it out of my sight, give it to somebody. I don't care what you do with it. But all of us have had that experience growing up, that first crush or first love and getting your heart broken. So I mean, it's a normal thing. So I mean, his dad is stating something that's true, is just a little bit insensitive about how hurt Jake is and how his feelings are.
Right. I've also noticed that these episodes tend to have the most interesting pieces of information in the first 5 minutes, because when they're setting up the story, they're like, oh, the Antiquans always do this, and oh, this guy drinks 5 cups of coffee, as they're setting up the story. And another one was that Chief and Bashir played 70 games of racquetball while Keiko and Molly were gone, and Bashir says, that tells me I'm a poor substitute for your wife.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then Chief O'Brien says, I could have told you that 60 games ago.
The other thing we got on the first 5 minutes was Odo liking Kira and again expressing how he has feelings for Kira, kind of gloating over her. And then when he finds out that Bareilles coming in town, he kind of went, limp.
Right.
But
hey, 1 second. We're going to take our quick break. We'll finish that thought on the other side of that. Okay. And we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Seventh Rule with Mr. Cirroc Lofton, a.k.a. Jake Sisko.
Yes, sir.
Very quickly, our trivioids of the day. Marta got accepted to the Science Academy on Regulus 3. For those of you keeping track at home, nobody is. Chief drinks 5 cups of coffee in 20 minutes. Keiko says O'Brien sometimes broods and stomps around like an Andorian bull. And then obviously Jake loves Kira, Bareilles loves Dax loves Sisko, Quark loves Keiko and Bashir love each other. Loxana Troy wants Odo to melt in her lap. I don't know if you heard that line, but she's like, oh, do you need a shoulder to cry on or a lap to melt into? And I was like, that's...
She's awesome too as the
hardcore. Yeah.
The cougar going after you.
She's definitely a mountain lion. And Sabar wanted Keiko not to talk to O'Brien about this until after the Gratitude Festival. Tisk tisk. And the last one is Bareilles uses the F word on Kira. Friend.
Oh, yeah. He did.
Ooh, that's the one.
I'm surprised you didn't have Molly throws up on her dad.
That was a great line. He's like, did you have fun or how? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. Blah.
Yeah, well, why don't you show me? And she's like, here, you want to see it?
Here's all the colorful candy I just enjoyed.
But it's funny because I wrote something similar to what you did on your opening, right? Odo likes Kira, Kira's with Bareilles, Jake loves Marta, Molly. Yeah. So I did that same, like, this person likes that person kind of thing. And that's what it was about. But I really enjoyed the Odo Loxana moments. I thought they were amazing, actually, and especially the feeling. Odo had so much expression in his face, even though he's got that face where he really can't see his expressions, but his eyes and the way he was. For example, when he was embarrassed inside of a security office because she was all up on him and the other guy was there looking,
and then she says, come back later, or something, and then Odo goes. 5 minutes. Come back in 5 minutes. Yeah. As in, come save me, please.
Yeah, please save me. And he was embarrassed. And so it was funny because I don't remember him feeling embarrassed. Usually he doesn't feel the emotion of embarrassment, but he was so embarrassed when she was all up on him and he was kind of looking at the guy like, I hope you're not seeing this. And so even in their dance sequence, when they were doing that little dance number back and forth,
she was twirling him.
And he was making this face like the faces he was making were like, oh God, please get me out of here. And
it was like Mrs. Roper twirling around Mr. Roper.
It was just it's classic. It was classic, and they also did similar kind of camera work when they wanted to make him feel awkwardly uncomfortable. They would bring in them tighter in a tight shot and kind of have them in a enclosed space, right? But I really enjoyed just the looks on his face. I thought he had some of the best facial expressions in that episode. Also Kira, man, how sexy can she get in like 0 to 60? She gets sexy really fast. When she
0
went
to
over,
sexy in 1 second.
0 to sexy in like no time flat. So when Bareil comes in, they greet each other and then they go back into the private area and she just lays back on the bed with her kind of arms crossed behind her. And I was just thinking, wow, she just goes from this tough, like hard, badass, take no prisoners type of person to like this super hot, sexy girl, woman in like no time at all. And that's what I really love about her range.
I do think that's also something that's very empowering to a lot of women and a lot of people in general, is that you are allowed to close the door behind you of your own home in your own bedroom and act however you want and do whatever you want. And that's kind of like a thing where she's this high up, militant, tough as nails character. But she's like, but the second I close the door to my own quarters, I can be whatever I want to be, whether it's exactly the same or whether it's totally different. I could be submissive, I could be sexy, or I could be a tough, and I thought
and she owns it.
Yeah. And it's really cool that she realizes that's okay. You can do this thing at work and you can do this thing outside of work. And, it's nobody's business.
I just like the range. I just like her range. It's just like she's capable of doing anything. She can pull it off. And that's what I really like. And the confidence that she has. So she's confident even when she's in her sexy mode. She's still sexy and confident. And that's another thing that I think is attractive about her.
Confidence is sexy, they say.
It's sexy, yeah. So I wrote down here, teddy bears are forever, because, Molly has her teddy bears. And I was thinking to myself, it doesn't matter how far in the future you get, kids are going to want their teddy bears.
That was an ugly teddy bear. What was that?
It was an ugly carnival type teddy bear that she made. But it just made me think, wow, teddy bears never really go out of style.
I feel like that was something Avery did too when he's talking to the props person. I just want this big fluffy thing to have a million different colors and be just like a fun little squishy.
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of cute, those kinds of things. You can't really, what is a digital replacement for a teddy bear? What could be there is really no high tech way to pull that off. Something to squeeze in your hand when you're sleeping.
Grand Theft Auto, I guess. Grand Theft Auto is what the digital version of that. I don't know.
Yeah, for adults, teddy bears.
Yeah.
I like the line where O'Brien and Kiko were kind of going back and forth. I actually really enjoyed their scenes together because it really came across as a marriage. It
was stressful, right?
Yeah,
I felt a little bit of it.
Yeah, that's how marriages go. Like you go from, how's everything going? Nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. To get the hell out of my face. To
how many
apologize.
How many times have we gone from, hey, how was your day, to all I was saying was in like 15 seconds.
Right. 15. Right. And so I thought it was a pretty accurate depiction of a really good relationship between the two of them. I liked the fighting, and I also liked the coming out of the fighting.
The resolution was really, it was touching. I was like, wow, that was really a nice moment, the way it resolved.
Yeah, when O'Brien gave his little monologue about, I've sent in my letter of resignation and I'm sorry. And I thought it was a genuine apology. And I was like, Keiko, how come you're not going to open the door and give me a big hug, man?
Well, because she was getting changed.
Do better myself. She was. I was thinking I couldn't do this any better than myself. That was a perfect apology. But I like the line that they came up with earlier, which was the red dress is tight. She's like, the red dress is tight. And he's like, that's why I like it.
Yeah.
Like,
but then you can understand why she's not feeling it. She's like, it's a whole thing. Sometimes I don't feel like wearing something like that. But it was a really nice moment when she came out in that red dress, because that was her, it was obviously symbolic of her wanting to make up and meet in the middle. And it made him so happy. Like the look on his face was like, I'm the luckiest man alive. Kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment, actually. And the other thing was, when Kira comes up to do the burning of the scrolls, I think early on in the episode, she stands up on that pedestal and says, she throws a scroll in the fire. Awkwardly, to me, that looked a lot like a bomb. And I don't know if anybody else caught that.
It looked like a giant bong.
It looked like a giant bong with the fire underneath. So I was just waiting for her to take a big... I was just waiting for her to take a big rip and say,
she's packing some scrolls in there, some wisdom.
Yeah, some wisdom, some knowledge.
I did think about. I was just going to say,
did you think about that?
Yes, but I wanted to also bring up one other thing about that exact scene. Was a good shout out to Nana Visitor there, because all of her lines were in the foreign Bajoran language, which is already tough enough to pronounce and memorize. But also, she did that while standing up, on something 6 feet up in the air. Also, pouring 2 liquids into a small thing, which is not easy. I mean, they're minor things, but really, when you're pouring 2 things into a little thing, standing up high and reciting these lines that make no sense to you, and not flinching when the thing goes poof, bursts into flames. I was like, she can pat her head and rub her belly at the same time. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I've already expressed how I feel about Nana Visitor as just like tremendous talent, and she's the best of the best.
Yeah, that must have been hard to do.
It must have been hard to do, but she's so capable. There's nothing she can't do. The one thing that I did like too is when Jake kind of goes and puts his Mac down on Kira. I liked how he said, I got a crush on this older woman, and I need your help to talk about it. I just like that opening line. I'm actually going to use it in real life just because I have to pay homage to Jake and his smooth operation.
You should say it even if it's a younger woman. That'll go over real well.
Yeah, that'll really work out. But yeah, he was like, I love you, Nerissa. Want to go out with me?
Yeah, that was a great line.
I'm pretty sure they got that from me actually saying that in real life. So I think I wrote that line and I didn't get any writer's credits for it, just for the record.
Avery was like, what's that thing you always say? We're going to use that.
Yeah. And he knows. So, and he, obviously he's directing it, so he knows how to play off of it. He's hyping up my infatuation behind the scenes, so that's another element that's at play. I do like, once again, I like the fact that everybody was in this episode. I like the fact that they used all the characters, so everybody got kind of an equal amount of time. I didn't really see an A storyline, B storyline. I just felt like it was all one storyline,
right.
But I did like the camera movement, the sweeping pans, the motion. And you mentioned earlier, but when I did remember, and I do remember Avery doing this before and frequently, he would grab me and put me in a mark at some point sometimes. And he would do that all the time. And he would do that very like it was like, I need you to stand right here. Right? And so, a lot of my training in just in being in front of the camera comes from like those kind of moments where I'm like, okay, so this is what you want me to do. You want me to, spin around and land on this place right here. And there was a moment in this episode where I'm kind of searching for Kira up on the upper deck by Quarks just before he grabs me. Mm-hmm. As I'm walking, I kind of do a spin around and I'm moving around. And I think Avery gave me the instruction, like, you're comfortable here. So, spin around, walking around as you do your thing. You're walking, you're doing your dancing around the busy place. So I'm pretty sure that came as a directorial advice to me. Like, I'd like you to do it like this.
Yeah, it seemed like the people that would get hit with the headache and the love spell or whatever, it seemed like they also, because it's not just this love spell, they also have this unmitigated level of confidence. Because how many times have you had a strong crush on somebody, married even in some cases, taken in other cases, with a friend of yours, and you're just like, I don't give up. I am ready to shout it to the world. So it wasn't just like a love bug, but it was also like an inebriation, to where they're just like, they don't care about consequences. They're blissful. They're ready to just tell the world, I mean,
yeah, it was like a little bit of beer muscles, where you get the nerve to do something you wouldn't normally do.
liquid courage. Yeah.
Liquid courage. Yeah. Um, I love this outfit they had Sisko in at the house party. It's one of the changes in costume. It's a little side because I pay attention a lot to the wardrobe.
Right.
Loxana had a whole like colorful kind of Chiquita Banana outfit on.
Yes, she did.
Right. and Sisko had this like really cool like vest. He actually was wearing one of my type of outfits, but he just had the guns and But I did a little thing. It was one of these vests. Did you see it there? And it was kind of like a really cool thing. I thought his arms looked real muscular, and that's when he was getting punched by.
And he was just like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, he was like, "Come on." But he looked like a guy you would want to fight.
So I wonder if that means if he was wearing something that Jake Sisko might have worn sometimes, that maybe Jake Sisko just dresses like that because he gets his dad's hand-me-downs, and Garrick alters them to have really long arms or whatever.
Yeah, that's another thing. I noticed I was taller in this episode. I felt like
maybe for the first time, huh?
Yeah, I felt for the first time that I actually noticed a growth. Like, am I much taller in this episode?
I hadn't noticed. But now looks like this is the one episode where Dad was better dressed than Son, huh?
I think so. I really enjoyed his outfit. I liked it. And then we have to do a little shout out to Quark in this episode. We didn't talk much about him, but
he had the Bajorn earring too.
Yeah,
nice touch.
He had a few things. One, he was selling merchandise, so he had the collector's items, right? The latinum plated pens and stuff like that with the scrolls. So he was doing his usual carnival Quark. But he also gave us another glimpse into the Ferengi chauvinist world, right? So he said something to the effect to O'Brien, you let your women go out in public, get jobs, right? And it just...
wear clothing.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. That's what he says. It's bound to happen.
It's bound to happen. We have great lives in our culture. And so I just thought that was... it sounds so ridiculous when he says it that it's funny, right? Because you're like, you let your women do this and do that. But there was a time when these kinds of things, were the norm. And it just stands out as such an obscenity now when you listen to it, right? It's like, wow, this is so far from where we are culturally now. That this is laughable, right?
It's a real indictment on the character and their culture, more so than the people that they are oppressing. You know what I mean? Like it's not saying anything bad about women or Ferengi women. It's saying something bad about Ferengi, that they actually think that way.
Yeah.
We watch that and we're just like, oh my God, these guys. It's laughable. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also kind of necessary to highlight a contrast of how far we've come and how silly that kind of ideology is. So I enjoy hearing it, even though it's so backwards. It lets us know, yeah, it's backwards by just saying it in such a way.
There was also a moment where Dax is giving Morn advice, and I wanted to see a little bit more of Morn, but whatever. At least we got a sighting. I think it would have been cool if somebody fell in love with Morn. Like if somebody was just like, oh, Morn is the one for me, boy, oh boy, that's the guy. I could listen to him talk all night.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Thanks. Thanks for humoring me there. You're like,
it was a
okay.
brief moment. Yeah, it would be nice. There were other things there that they could have added more of. I mean, Odo wasn't affected by it, so he didn't really. I thought he was going to go harder after Kira or something to that effect.
Maybe he was a little bit. He was very tolerant to Luoxana. Usually he's very like, leave me alone. But I mean, he was letting her twirl him around at least. So maybe he was feeling it,
It didn't really appear that way.
Maybe he was getting the bubbles that we mentioned before. Maybe he was starting to bubble a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But overall, I would say it was a pretty good episode. It was entertaining. It had me like kind of sitting back and laughing and watching. I think I laughed out loud a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Just a few moments there,
right?
Where, Odo's face had me busting out laughing. So there were a few times when I would just look at his face and literally just.
These are the kind of episodes that aren't looked at as very good because they're not really important in the grand scheme of things. There's not a lot going on, on the big picture. But when you look at it, by itself, and you already know everything that's going on with Star Trek and with Deep Space Nine, it is fun to get a breather. We do need a breather sometimes where something's just fun, something's simple, something's easy. And this one was so simple and easy and fun that the evidence to me was the solution, was the fact that we're looking and there's 2 minutes left in the episode and we still don't even have hint number one as to what is causing this problem. You know what I'm saying? Like usually in the first 10 minutes, we get a hint what's going on, and then they start to go to solve it, and then there's a twist, and then there's maybe another twist, and then a solution, right? We went through the entire episode up until the final minute or two without even.
Did you have any guesses up until that point?
I did, because there's Luoxana there. But I just remember thinking, whatever it is, it better happen now, because otherwise it's going to be to be continued, and they really should not make this a two-parter. But I did have a guess. I did have a guess it had something to do with Luoxana, because it had to be something simple, and she's empathic and she's horny, generally speaking.
So I had my guess was not her at all. Even though it would make sense, because when they bring on somebody that's not always on the show, that usually are a central piece to the puzzle of what's going on in the problem. But I wasn't thinking like that at the time while I was watching it. So actually my first guess was maybe it was the scrolls burning and the smoke from the scrolls.
Interesting.
Right?
People were getting high.
I thought, maybe everybody's getting high off this scroll, man. And that was my
high all the time.
Yeah, because she said, let the past burn, or burn the past and let yourself be free, or something like that.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, maybe it has something to do with these scrolls burning, and they're going to figure that out.
They're going to sober up in bed the next day and be like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And then the next one was Odo was upstairs by the people playing the instrument, the music. Mm-hmm. And he was doing his weird dance. Before Luoxana came up, he was kind of doing a weird dance, right? Yeah. And it was a little out of character for me to see Odo kind of getting down without any kind of, reason.
There was something there. And then she even said, well, he said, I was swaying to the music or something like that.
She was like, sway with me then, sway with me. So then I thought it was the music. And I was like, oh, maybe it's the music that these Bajorans are playing. It's like some kind of hypnotizing melody or something, So at the end, I was actually, it's just menopause. And
basically
it was Xanthi fever, but which is essentially the menopause for a betazoid. So there goes that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was that, first of all, shout out to Major Roddenberry, who's resting in peace. But she was such a wonderful person and a pleasure to be around. always spread that kind of a joy and energy that you see on screen. Very lovely person. And that's another thing that I think about when I watch this episode. I'm thinking, we've lost her and Odo. So this scene that I'm watching is, two people that I'll never get a chance to see again. That also means something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd never had the opportunity to meet her, but from everything that you've said and others have said, she was just like an absolute delight on set, right?
Super delight. Also the voice of the computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just when she would come on, she was always so lovely and just very much like her character. Not in the sense that she was like, pushy and attractive to somebody or horny, as you put it, but that she was so pleasant and light and very respectful and just a joy to be around. So I always enjoy seeing her because I have fond memories of the time we spent together.
So we just have a couple minutes left here, and there were just so many little things. This wasn't something to where the story itself or the concept itself is what wowed us. It was just the fun, the details, the character, deep dives they would do. Because he would say, like, even at the end, he said, "Oh, it's kind of like it made us act upon our already previously, existing sexual wishes." And Sisko was like, "Well," he's like, "it was super subconscious, though. Don't worry." So subconsciously, somewhere deep down in there, all of these things are accurate in some way. And Jake Sisko is in love with Kira. Don't blame me. That's what the doctor says. You don't seem to be denying it too.
I don't have any problems with that. That's very good writing. Excellent writing. But yeah, I mean, the only weird one out of it, I guess there were two weird ones out of it. One would be the Quark jumping on Keiko at the very end. If that means he's subliminally attracted to Keiko, that's kind of
right, because we already know he's attracted to Dax and to Kira and to every weird alien that walks in.
Right.
So they're like, well, who's left? Because it had to be surprising. So they're like, well, we already know all the other stuff. Keiko.
Yeah, and so when he starts rubbing his ear on Keiko, I was like, isn't that not appropriate to do, to be rubbing your ear?
I mean, think of what that really is that he's doing. He's like jumping on a woman, going like,
Yeah.
It's like then when O'Brien squeezes his ear, I actually physically reacted. I was like, that's gotta hurt.
It's gotta hurt, but he deserves it because he's fondling himself, and it's kind of inappropriate at this moment. But that would be weird, just if that's subconsciously inside of Quark's head, the fact that he actually is deep down attracted to Keiko. And the other one that was weird was Sisko and Dax, because Sisko looks at Dax and he thinks of his old man, right? Mm-hmm. His old pal. So I could see how that would be a turnoff for Sisko to be like, hey, no, I can't do this, man, but Dax is thinking, well, I'm Jadzia too, so
so
about that part.
Hey, I mean, why not?
Yeah, but otherwise, wasn't the best episode. Really wasn't, as far as like anything Star Trek related.
As far as anything Star Trek related. But speaking of which, we do only have about a minute left, maybe less. So here's the big question of the day. What do you think, Cirroc Lofton, that this episode got on IMDb? What rating did it get?
Well, it wasn't boring and it wasn't terrible. It had a lot of cast members and they all tied together pretty well. I would say between like a 6.8 and a 7.2, somewhere in that range. Survey
says 6.3. 3. It was maybe the second lowest that we've seen so far this season. The lowest was it Meridian? The one that was like a 5.7. That was solidly lower. This one was at least fun, and I was interested. I was entertained.
I was entertained, but I can understand why the audience doesn't feel that way because, we're starting to get into the heavy stuff with the Dominion and with all this, the heavy things that are going on. And it just seemed like this was too casual and light and maybe could have been placed earlier on the season before we start getting so serious. The Defiant just got introduced.
I know, we're ready for battle. And then we're like, well, let's take a break first. Before we get into that, let's have some fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, you just got the Defiant. I'd be wanting to cruise around, pick up on some alien chicks or something like that.
Yeah, or something like that. Human chicks, alien, whatever. So we do have to run. Everybody stay tuned for the free-for-all. We do want to give a very special thanks to Yvette Blackmon, Rex A. Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England out in Wales, Dr. Marie Segal, Carmen Shamwell, and PJ Tomas. Thank you all very much. Stay tuned for the free-for-all, and we'll be right back on the 7th Rule.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th Rule. This is the free-for-all with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
Also, Commander Homer Frizzell, Eve England out in the UK, specifically Wales. No, we're not going any more specific. And Anne-Marie Segal, Dr. MD, Rex
Heldar Joy.
That's right. Good knowledge. Heldar Joy. Rex A. Wood and Heather Jordan. So, Anne-Marie, you're right. Heldar Joy. We just watched that fun episode. We had some fun. And we thought a fun question would be, if you're ever feeling down or if you just need some comfort food and you want to watch a fun episode of any series, a fun episode, whether it's a fun moment or a fun character or just an episode that has a lot of humor, what episode would that be?
Great question.
Thank you. I thought of it 30 seconds ago. We're going to start with Heather Jordan because she looks the least prepared. She was looking off to the left, which means she has no idea what her answer is going to be.
Yeah, it's thinking is what it is. I don't know. Like, if I'm going to go fun, I'm going to have to do the, now I cannot remember the name of the episode.
It's okay.
The oh my gosh. We were just talking about, me and Rex were talking about this episode the other day. The singing one.
Which series?
DS9, where they get trapped in the game. Oh my god.
Alan Murray. Alan Murray.
Yes, Alan Murray.
Oh, Move Along Home.
Yeah, that one. I just could not remember the name of that. Total blank. But I like that episode. I do. Like, everybody hates it, but I like it. If I want to watch something fun, just for that one scene where they're all hopscotching across the room.
The best part of that is watching Major Kira doing it so unhappily. She's like, 1, 2, 3.
It's super cute.
So unhappy.
Didn't she try to do it without doing the movements and like it didn't let her through at the first time? And then she's like, oh, I have to do it.
What about you?
That would be mine.
Rex, do you have a favorite comfort food or funny episode or funny character that you just gotta see?
Piece of the Action, the original episode.
Anne-Marie agrees with you.
That was my answer. Thanks, Rex.
I'm sorry, that happens all the time.
Wow.
Two of
this
you?
must be a great episode.
There's another one.
Let's
see if you get the other one.
It is good.
There's another good one, too. Let's see if we can come
It's
up
the
with
one
that.
with Thisbin.
Yes.
The card game on Tuesdays, and you do.
Absolutely.
Action, huh?
Yeah, it's like a gangster one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is the gangster one. Where they get in the car and Kirk is trying to figure out the stick shift in the car and keeps going in reverse and then going forward.
Yeah.
Car, go.
Rex looks cool, man. You look like Geordi in The Next Generation, where he starts to go like he starts to glow in the dark or whatever.
Trying to figure out what's causing it.
Oh yeah. Good
Like
luck.
my head keeps going like transparent.
Then Jadzia Dax would be attracted to that, if I remember correctly.
Haha, good one.
Right?
That's real Captain
Probably.
Baudet.
Good knowledge.
Yeah.
All right.
Good knowledge,
Anne Marie,
huh?
do you have a fun
Oh,
or
for
funny
sure.
name?
His Way.
7.
Oh, I could, but His Way is my number one. I love that one. Where Odo gets lessons on how to get women from Vic Fontaine, and then he and Kira kiss at the end. It's my favorite.
Wow. Favorite of all of them, all the series?
Well, it's my favorite like comfort one, and then my other two are Someone to Watch Over Me, where the doctor gives 7 dating lessons, and then the other one is Virtuoso, where the doctor like goes to a planet and becomes an opera megastar. Those are my favorite 3 as comfort food, and then also like usually if I do His Way, I'll just let it run because I love all of Star Trek.
Rex, you're doing a quantum leap on us.
Yes.
You're about to turn into Scott
I'm phasing in and out.
I know.
Phasing in and out. I don't know what's going on.
I couldn't keep a straight face because I just see him going blinking.
He's literally
in and out.
phasing it. You're getting beamed out.
Yeah.
Turn up the power on the.
Please,
we need more power.
Turn up the power.
Maybe he's evolving like
The
Kes.
pattern buffers are losing that pattern.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know what's going on. Sheesh. I'm having a green screen day.
Now, Eve England, first of all, I would like to apologize for all of our shenanigans up until now. But do you have an episode you'd like to bring up that you really enjoy or that makes you laugh or makes you happy?
Yeah, this is hard. I think the one I can think of that always stands out as just being absolutely hilarious and always really good fun is, and I don't know what it's called, but I think it's the one when they're stuck in the holosuite and the safeties all go off and they're in that sort of James Bond world.
Arban Bashir, I think.
Yes,
right?
that's it. Yeah, I just absolutely, and I just love Chief O'Brien particularly, and his sort of rough man kind of look is just hilarious. Yeah, probably that one. Yeah.
Nice. Is Chief O'Brien your favorite character on Deep Space Nine?
He's not there's just something about him. I just sort of think, oh, poor Chief. It's just everything bad always happens to him. And we're just always like, oh, here we go, poor Chief. And it's it's just like a running joke. And I just it's very amusing.
He's the guy. We always go, poor sap. Well, Commander Homer Frizzell, donning the awesome Captain Nog Forever shirt with the Captain Nog Forever background. That is really cool.
So I was going to go piece of the action. I don't really have one that I go to. It's pretty much put in or start playing a bunch of them and watch, say, 3 or 4. But I would say comfort food-wise, it's mac and cheese. So I would make that up, but I would make it extra cheesy. I would use some I'd use some cheddar on it, so you really get the cheese. Because you did ask about the comfort food.
Not actual comfort.
I'm so lost.
I think we're
now I
talking
want
about
mac and
comfort food.
cheese.
Didn't I hear
Now I'm
comfort
mad.
food?
There's no mac and cheese at the grocery store downstairs, and I'm going through
But
withdrawal.
if you're just looking for one episode of Star Trek, aside from Piece of the Action, it would be Trials and Tribulations.
Okay.
Fun one.
Fantastic. Great answer.
I make an amazing
Trial and Tribulation. Oh.
No, mac and cheese. Actually, Homer's had my mac and chease.
Is it a casserole type of mac and cheese?
No, it's just made from scratch. Like with a pound of cheese. A pound of cheese, isn't it?
I love
Homer,
mac and
I
cheese.
figured you'd get the second episode. The second one that I was thinking of. Surely it's another fun episode.
Good one.
Well, that would be incorrect,
That
Rex.
he used his telepathy.
You don't think it was fun?
It didn't even come to mind.
Oh,
And there were a few others, but maybe I just have to go back and watch Finnegan and those guys.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And the rabbit.
Now,
the
Cirroc,
rabbit. Yeah, right.
what about you, Cirroc? Is there an episode now, we're in the 3rd season. Is there one that really stands out to you where if you just wanted to watch a fun episode and have a laugh, that you would go back to it?
Oh, well, there's always the self-sealing stem bolts episode. So that's going to be like a no-brainer for me.
Amazing.
It just brings back those memories.
Yeah.
the great Aron
Every
Eisenberg.
episode where he's going through puberty, those are his favorite.
Yeah.
So, who was the director on that one, and is he still around? And could you get him on the show?
Les Landau. We'll never forget old Les Landau. We should get Les on the show. That'd be great. I bet you Ira could find him. It's not too far.
Didn't Ryan said less is more?
Yeah.
In the previous episode.
I don't know how he hasn't said it yet.
Oh no!
He did
No,
say
he said it. I think
No,
he said
today.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he has said it many
thinking
times.
back, I remember fun days that I had filming. I would do Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite just because
God.
I enjoyed the baseball, the whole day, the whole filming of it, the whole thing was fun for me. So it brings back that comfort food type of, just memories of hanging out, playing baseball with your guys.
Yeah, that one does seem like the one that would be the most fun to shoot because you're just hanging out, you're having fun, you're doing something different, you're doing something that you would enjoy doing outside of work anyway.
Right.
That
Did
was
Craft Services go hot dogs and Cracker Jacks for that one? Or was it
nice.
something
And
else?
peanuts.
Good
Very
question.
good. Very good question. No, it was catered, but it wasn't hot dogs and Cracker Jacks. I'm pretty sure it was like one of those build your own pastas type buffet lines.
Fun.
And then
missed.
at lunchtime though, we all the cast and crew got together to just hit fly balls.
Cool.
Just to do like a home run
Wow,
derby.
you got some amazing aim if you could do that. Oh, I got you.
No. Oh, no comment, right? But yeah,
Eve. By the way,
home run
sorry.
derby.
Baseball is like cricket. It's what Americans.
Actually, been to a baseball game.
Oh, really?
Well,
Which game?
we have to.
It was years ago. I can't. It was in Indianapolis, but I can't remember. Who was
Cool.
playing.
That's
I
awesome.
have to shout out Eve's mug. She's got the
Captain Nog forever.
Oh yeah,
No, it's the
seventh
seventh
rule.
nice.
The eyes.
And her
That's the
Be
one.
Kind shirt, which is very nice too.
Ferengi eyes, yeah, and Be Kind. That's Chase's group.
Yeah, it looks good with the V-neck. I like that.
Yeah, and it's very sparkly as well, which is why I quite liked it.
It's very
And purple
color.
on purple, right? Is that purple and
Yeah.
purple?
It's actually quite sort of a pinky purple, but it's got glitter on it. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I still
I think
need to get
that's
one
the
of
one
those.
that Rekha Sharma designed.
Rekha Sharma?
Yeah, I think she designed or was the first one to go with those colors, that combination.
Really? I
Yeah,
think it looks awesome. Good job, Eve.
it does. Looks awesome.
And Rex, of course, looks awesome as usual. In his
Rex got his arms
uniform.
crossed exactly like Jonathan.
I know,
Frakes
he's
right
posing.
now. He's got the number one look right now.
I
Number one.
can't tell if Anne Marie is frozen or just sitting really
I think
still.
she's frozen.
Yeah, she's up on her roof in New York, so anything can happen there.
Oh,
And now she's gone.
Yeah. And
She's like, I'm leaving. I don't care. I said my answer. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
Frozen and gone.
What's your answer, Ryan? You didn't give us one, did you?
Well, Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite, but I'll come up with another one. I don't know. I mean, for me, like, I do also just for some reason really like Cause and Effect, even though it's not funny. It's a Next Generation one, but it's one that's just kind of like fun to watch over and over again. Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite is one that I didn't really care for it as much the first time I saw it because I was like, is this a baseball one? But as time went on, now I look back at it and I'm like, that is such a good episode. It's so fun. It's so happy, and it's nice to have these breaks of happy, easy fun in the middle of 20 episodes of Dominion Wars, So that's
Except for the last episode that we just covered, it was kind of corny in the middle of all this serious
but
stuff.
it's the same
The
thing though. Yeah.
Fascination episode.
Here comes Anne Marie.
So just as an aside regarding Dominion Wars, I had a call with the cable service provider, and the person I was chatting with was First Jane.
Huh.
So it's kind of like Jem'Hadar. I don't know.
Very much so.
I just thought I'd slide that in while we're waiting for Anne Marie to join us again.
Yeah, you bought us some time.
I did.
My internet never went up before.
Should I?
Anne Marie,
extend
did
that
you
longer?
are you shopping? Are you out shopping?
Oh man, I'm trying to not shop until virtual TrekCon.
It looks like she's shopping, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like she's waiting for an elevator.
I'm hoping there's a lot of shopping opportunities during VTC.
Oh, tons. So we have 5 minutes left. By the way, that's Virtual TrekCon. Thanks for bringing that up.
VTC, I like that one. Already got it.
You down with VTC?
Yeah, you know me.
I was singing that in my head.
Who was singing that? That was you, Heather.
I was thinking it in my head.
Well,
yeah.
that's the song. Eve, it's a rap song from like the 90s.
Yeah, like early
OPP,
90s.
yeah. So last question here, guys. Let's just go a little deeper. What's the scene that made you laugh the most in all of Star Trek? One scene or one line. Rex has it. Rex is ready.
Still going to be the scene where Kirk has all the people lined up in the Trouble with Tribbles in the transporter room. Mm-hmm. And he's going through all of them asking who started the fight. And then at the end finding out that, that Scotty wasn't upset over the name he was being called, but the fact that they refer to the Enterprise as a garbage can.
Yeah. Hauled away as garbage.
Garbage. Yes, absolutely.
What about you, Anne-Marie? Funniest moment?
This is it right here.
This is
it. What a laugh.
I think he stands still for so long.
Well, we'll move over to Heather Jordan. Funniest moment?
I can pick a funniest moment from the documentary.
Okay.
It's the what is it? The extras where Cirroc is talking about his joke he played on his Sisko's new wife to break the
Penny?
ice.
Penny?
Yeah, I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah.
That's
we were
my
supposed
favorite.
to bring that up. I thought we settled that out of court.
I can't. You can't pick one moment in all of Star Trek. Like, it's just so hard.
Well, Whitney Houston just wants one moment in time. Eve England, what? That's a good song.
Yeah. Can you sing it for us?
Yes, but we're almost out of time, so we got to finish this question.
Oh, we're almost out of time.
I asked my question.
Sorry,
Eve. Not pull Whitney out.
What was the funniest moment for you, Eve?
To be honest, I think the same with Heather. I'm really struggling to think of anything, but I have to say that just out of the ones we've seen fairly recently, you mentioned it, a couple of weeks ago, when Quark was stuck in the security office with Odo, and he sort of flips back and says, "No, I'm stuck here with you." I just thought that did make me laugh out loud.
No, I think the line is Odo says, "No, it's even worse. I'm stuck here with you."
It's even worse.
Too funny.
Yeah. That is a good line. That's a good line.
Okay, wait. Can you say the question one more time? Because that's when I cut out.
Anne-Marie, do you have reception long enough to tell us the line or scene in Star Trek that you think is the funniest?
Oh my goodness. It's so hard to choose.
I know. That's why
I don't know.
chose
one of my original favorites is in the Royale in the TNG episode where Data starts blowing on the dice and winning at craps.
What is Rex doing?
Oh, when he's got it. Okay. Good. Great. Yeah, Rex, you're doing something peculiar.
I'm doing Anne-Marie.
Oh,
yeah, between you and Anne-Marie, you guys are like, this is the Kelvin timeline.
I didn't want her to feel alone.
I think,
we're like mirror universe.
Yeah.
Rex, your Windex is in the shot now.
That's cool.
Cool.
My phaser.
Don't do it.
No, TNG used so much Windex for their screens on the bridge, so it's really authentic.
Nice.
It's authentic.
Homer Frizzell, funniest scene, line, moment, character?
So I don't think I've laughed at anything.
I believe that.
But I in Star Trek, but I think that there are two that are the funniest to me. It's a bunch of interactions between McCoy and Spock at the end of different episodes. And then I would say within What We Left Behind, it's Aron and his middle finger as he's walking out from his interview.
Oh, yeah. I love that part because the chair falls and he's like, "Did you get that?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
All right, we just about out of time, but Cirroc Lofton, funniest scene, moment?
I can't really think of one singular thing, but I personally have one where we were filming it, we were supposed to be on some planet, and the outfit I was wearing was a little too tight, so when I squatted down to do the thing, my whole backside ripped open, and every time I watch that scene, I know what really happened in that moment. So I won't say which episode it is. Actually, I will say when we get to it.
Is the actual moment on film? Like
that
did they
part, I don't
say?
know. I hope to God they didn't use the actual splitting of the pants moment, because that would be really awkward. But
right,
I'll never forget that moment. It was hilarious. The whole set was laughing. Everybody was laughing. It was just like one of those moments where you just can't avoid it.
I hope you're wearing clean underwear that day.
Yeah, well, hey, they were issued by Paramount, so if they weren't clean,
that's on them.
So that's about it. And then you know what? Data does a lot of funny stuff to me. I like Data's little awkward moments that he has with where he's trying to comprehend something in those moments. So Data, Odo, when he gets into his funny moments, makes me laugh a lot. So there's a few instances where I think they play funny moments.
Got it. Well, we got to run. When we do get to that scene, Cirroc, point it out so we could see if like your face reacts in the take. Like if you go like, oh, or something like that, we can watch it.
I'm sure that'll be a screensaver.
Yeah, that'll be great. Anyway, we do have to run, guys.
This is the exact moment.
But thank you all very much for joining us on the Seventh Rule. And it has been brought to you by special thanks to Whitney Houston. And we'll see you all next time on the Seventh Rule.